Now, under the Biden administration last year, you will know that sometime we read that the Biden administration or President Biden restricted Nvidia from shipping the H100s to China, right? To try to, for security reasons, but we all know that it was trying to slow down them in terms of technology development and advancement of China as a whole, which is something that, of course, that resulted into China encouraging their local car producers like Nio to start producing their own chips, to start producing or utilizing chips that are produced locally. It is for that reason that Nio even pushed further and harder to create and build the autonomous driving chip Shinji 9301 chip, right? Which is something that is great, something that is exciting. Now, the reason why I'm taking you back there is because we just read just yesterday that President Trump has now restricted Nvidia from shipping the H20s chips to China. And this is not something new, which is why I gave you that background. Now, one thing that, of course, the US does not realize, or maybe has not realized as yet, is that the more they restrict these chips to China, the more China starts making or finding ways to make these chips themselves. As I'm telling you, Nvidia H100s were stopped, and these are some of the chips that EV makers like Nio was using to, of course, build their technology. But what happened is that not only was China able to stand that rain and survive that, but they came out stronger. You will know that the AI platform DeepSeek, which recently got launched early this year, that platform was built with the substandard chips that they were getting from Nvidia. USA thought stopping Nvidia from taking the H100s will make China to be slow, or will slow down the technology and advancement in China. But this DeepSeek was formed, and not only was it beating the other AI platform on the markets or out there from the US companies, but it was built by around $6 million, which is something that for other companies, US companies, for them to build an AI platform, they used millions, if not billions of dollars to build their platforms, which is something that obviously it is very important to note. You and me can definitely agree that this again won't stop China even a bit, because they will still be able to advance regardless of these restrictions. Nvidia last night highlighted something very important to say. Because of these new restrictions or these new holds that Trump introduced of Nvidia's H20s, it's going to have a lot of impact into Nvidia's revenues. Nvidia is going to take a hit of $5.5 billion, because these chips already, the Chinese companies had already procured them or placed their orders. And if now they can't take those chips again, they have a lot of inventories of these chips. And this is not good for even Nvidia themselves, because they won't do well, they won't flourish, they will have some sort of impact, which as a result, they will just have to find other ways to either sell them way too cheap or cut down the prices to try to let go of the inventory stock that they have of the H20s, which is something that is not good, man. This not only hurts some of the Chinese companies that were getting or expecting these H20s, but it also hurts or bring a huge impact onto Nvidia's revenues that they are expecting to generate, right? Can I tell you something? This to Chinese company, as much as it's going to hurt or it's hurting right now, it makes China to advance even more, because like I'm telling you, this is what we saw. We have seen this story and we know how this story ends. The story ends when China has developed their own chips. The story ends when China has developed their own technology, and even better technology to the technology that you see in the US. That is what we saw on DeepSeek. That is what we saw on our very own Nio when they when they build in-house the autonomous driving chip, Shinji NX9301 chip. This is what we saw. Had it not been the US restricting some of these chips to be shipped to China, probably Nio and other EV companies and other companies in China we're not going to be where they are in terms of chip development. I mean, these companies are car companies, but we are seeing them developing their own softwares. We are seeing them developing their own chips. We are seeing them starting to build their own materials to put on their car because they realize that they cannot always rely on countries outside of China. And this is something that China has been doing. And I know to President Donald Trump or to the Trump administration, this might be maybe part of the winning strike, that they are thinking that they've got China this time. But China is always planning ahead. China is always obviously trying to find mitigation measures, to find solutions and be able to move forward. So me, when I read this, I was like, man, in as much as it will hurt now, one thing that it can do, it is to make the Chinese economy to be much stronger. It is to make the Chinese market to be even more competitive. Because right now, Nio CEO last week, he came and said that if other companies or new energy vehicle companies want to use Nio's autonomous driving chip, they are welcome, which this again could open up some massive revenues for Nio. This again could open up millions, if not billions of dollars coming to Nio, because other new energy vehicle car makers who have not, of course, who have not shown interest in producing their own chips, they will come and utilize Nio's chip. And in utilizing Nio's chip makes Nio, or simply means that they might also have to utilize Nio software. They might have to utilize Nio's interface at some point, which is something that, man, it will generate some pretty good, decent revenue for Nio. This is something that is good, and I think once again the message that will go from the government to the local companies in China, that when depending on these H20s, I already see the government telling them what they told them last year, to say that build your own chips, make your own chips, spend on R&Ds and build your own chips, so that you don't fully depend, or you don't continue depending onto the US, which is something that obviously it's going to happen. Probably some of the companies have been told so already, because this is what, or the message that the Chinese government was telling to the Chinese companies after they had faced some massive restrictions, after some massive restrictions of the H100s, which is something that was not good. So yeah, man, tell me what you think about this. In as much as this is bad news on both Nvidia and the Chinese companies, in a long run, this will be good, because once again, companies will have to spend money and go in and build their own chips, go in and find local producers that can build them the chip that can perform the same function that with compared to the chips that they were getting from Nvidia. Long term will win. Blue sky is coming. That's all from me. Don't forget to hit the like button, comment, and subscribe. And once you subscribe, don't forget to hit or click the notification bell, so that at least you get notified by YouTube every time I drop a new content. I will see you on the next one, and God bless you all.